So we'll start the class. So this is the balance chapter 4 which we have to complete. So this is regarding the organizational charts. So I will be basically explaining what is an organizational chart. So it's chapter 4 talks about the organizational hierarchy and how the operations are taking place. So what's a organizational chart? A organizational chart is something, it says, a diagram that displays a reporting or relationship hierarchy. The most frequent application of an organization chart is to show the structure of a business, government, or other organization. So basically, what is an organizational chart? It shows a diagrammatic form of how the hierarchical structure of a business or might be a government or an organization's full view. Okay, so organization charts have a variety of uses, can be used structured in many different ways. They might be used as a management tool for planning purposes or as a personal dictionary. For example, perhaps your organization doesn't operate in a command control style but instead relies on teams. So here what they're trying to say is organizational charts maybe in different forms how your organization is representing. So in the coming slides we will see what are the types of organizational charts that an organization could have with the team members, right? So Dylan, moving to the next slide. So features of an organizational chart. So how when it's talk about how the features are in an organizational chart. Organizational and supervisory communication. So organizational chart basically shows the structure of supervisory communication or maybe the reporting communication. So that means how the, now I'll explain through reading it, such as helping employees know who reports to whom, or helping people to get to know each other across the organization. Adding employee photos can help a lot, allow people to connect faces and names. So organizational communication means, now if you are working in a whole set of big organization, you won't be aware of, if it is a organization with a small scale of employees, you could identify who are the employees. But when the organizational structure is bit a wider range, your organizational chart will make you familiar to understand how much employees are there and what are the hierarchical structure they are following, and whom you have to report, whom your senior is, whom your top management is, and whom your junior is, or who the next level you're working with. So all the reporting, all the communication becomes easier when you know the hierarchical structure. So this is basically in the form of communication. So communication means if you want to talk to a higher authority, so in which way you are going to report, that means you are going to present through reportings. And if you want to get any information through the higher to the lower level, that will come as a command, that means, or rules or responsible rules or regulations they will be implementing. So this is how an organizational communication works up. And restructuring, such as switching roles in team, better utilize everyone's talents. So restructuring means when you identify in several departments who are the skilled employees to build up a new team, is it will be a useful task to understand who are the several skilled employees working in diversified departments. So working planning, such as figuring out the details of new hiring initiatives, that means you have to identify, so in which place you have to do the hiring and which place the employee is lacking. So all the planning can be understood when you are doing a planning, when you are having an organizational hierarchy. And resource planning, such as reducing inefficiency by rearranging roles. Now if you feels that one particular person or one particular group is not performing well, so you can change them into the another setup of business, and you can like rearrange or use the resources. That means if you feel this particular person is not working in the HR department and he's not that good at, so you can change him to another department which he has the skill and which he has the willingness of working. So these all will be useful when you are having a clear structure, right? Next, advantages of organizational chart. An organizational chart is managerial tool. It helps in specifying authority and responsibility of every position. So what is the advantage of an organizational chart? So basically it says when it is in a diagram method, you can identify the authorities and you can identify each member's responsibility. Next it says organization chart specifically defines authority and responsibility of people in the enterprise. There will be no duplicate or overlapping of duties. Even if it happens in a particular instance, it can be rectified immediately. Now, when you are having organizational charts with the roles and responsibilities, the same role and responsibilities will not be assigned to another person. Now, if you don't have a clear organizational chart, one person might be doing the same work again and again. So an organizational chart will be helping in these aspects. Organizational chart will helping in pointing out faults, deficiencies, dual command. That means if it's any fault is occurring in any particular department, or if any productive lacking is there or any deficiency is there, then this will be happening. So management will be able to take prompt remedial action in case of leukemia. So that means they are saying if there is a slowdown in the organizational's productivity, like the organizational can identify which area is not like providing the maximum output, so they can identify which team or which person, and they can make use of rectifying it or correcting the errors or changing. So they can do all this when they have a clear idea. The organizational chart acts as an information center to the new entrants, and they can easily understand different levels of authority and responsibility. So here they are saying organizational chart can be useful to identify the different levels.
Sarnia Miss, are you there? Hello, Sarnia Miss.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah. Okay,
Any problems there?
okay. No, I'll restart. Okay.
Ah, right,
So
right, right. Now, okay.
okay, organizational chart acts as an information center to the new entrants, and they can be easily understand different levels of authority. So here what they are saying is like when you're understanding the different levels of authority, it will be easy to understand how the information flow is also taking place. Charts also helps in decision making process, and which is a guide as a decision makers. That means when you are knowing the flow chart, you can understand from how the decisions are being taken and how the rules and regulations is being implemented, so you can work according to it. So some advantages are also there, disadvantages also there in the organizational charts. So it says it shows the different relationships of different positions, not all the degree of authority or responsibility. So that means they are saying in a whole chart you can't elaborately say in detailedly say what are the responsibilities. You can just generally jot down, but in detail you can't say. Chart only depicts formal organizational relationships, where informal organizations relationship is ignored. Particularly informal organizations are used in formal. Informal organization greatly helps management in knowing reactions of people as okay. Now here what they are saying is, now okay, a general form of structure will be in the organizational hierarchy, but in case like if you all are planning to have another sub team. So that will be an informal team which you are gathering to complete a particular goal. So that won't be aware by the all employees because that is a short term goal. So for everything we can't be creating the organizational chart. Chart shows organizational positions and status at different levels. It gives rise to superior inferior feeling among people who retards the feeling of teamwork. So when a hierarchy is shown, now the inferiority and superiority complex comes. That means I am bigger to them, I am smaller to them. So this superiority and inferiority complex may tend to stop people from working as a team because they are getting a feeling like that. So these are few disadvantages of organizational charts, but mostly focus on the advantage. So many advantages are there rather than the disadvantage. Next, types of organizational chart. A vertical organization structure is one. So these are the types. So basically there are several types. The main types are vertical, horizontal, and circular. Vertical organizational structure is one that relies on managers to command and control their employees at work. A business owner is typically at the top level of vertical chain of command. There are advantages and disadvantages also to a vertical structure. So in a vertical structure means that means it is flowing, it's like a top to bottom very vertically. That means command is there and employer controlling is very much higher in a vertical chart. That means for example CEO is there, down that the functional managers, now down the functional managers, the assistant managers, below the assistant managers the executives, below the executives and other subordinates will be there, where quick and close supervision will be there in a vertical chart. Next, the horizontal chart. So horizontal or flat chart which organization components is more laddering grouping. This form is best for the most often used by smaller companies and organizations that have a low overlap in their roles. So organization, horizontal organization is something you don't have a close supervision. That means one person is looking after generally overall everything. So organize horizontal means it's a bit expanded. So circular chart is something. Organization chart allows you to organize your company in a circular pattern to visualize team within the entire organization. So in a circular chart, you will be getting something. You can identify all the organization aspects in a circular way in one point, right? Next, span of control. Okay, span of control is something. So span of control refers to the number of subordinates that can be managed effectively and efficiently by supervisors or managers in an organization. Typically, it is either narrow or wide, resulting a flatter or more hierarchical organization structure. What is span of control means? Simple. Span of control is checked in the online examination, so clearly understand. Span of control is something a manager, how many subordinates he is controlling, that is called as span of control. So number of subordinates that can be managed effectively by the supervisor or a manager. Now for example, if a manager is controlling 5 subordinates, your span of controlling is 5. If the manager is controlling 10 employees, span of control is 10. If span of control is 2, that means the subordinates who are reporting to the manager is 2. So span of control basically means how much subordinates the employer, or the, sorry, not the employer, the manager is controlling. So this is span of control. And span of control can be classified into two: narrow span of control and wider span of control. So narrow span of control refers to a structure with few employees reporting to a manager, while a wider span of control refers to a structure with many employees reporting to a supervisor. So narrow span of control means, for example, you just imagine very narrow, it's very narrow, it will have a tight supervision. For example, CEO is there. Under CEO you just take, okay, not one manager, several managers for the functional department. You see, you take a HR department, HR manager will be there. Under the HR manager, 3 assistant managers are there. So the subordinate of a HR manager is span of control is 3. Under the assistant managers, 3 assistant manager, 2 people are working, 2 employees are working in reporting to them. So for the each assistant manager, their span of control is 2. That means the person who is supervising the subordinate is called as the span of control. Now let's say, for example, if it is a narrow span of control, each person will have a close and tight supervision on the other person. That means the manager will be, CEO will be controlling the 5 functional managers. 5 functional managers will be controlling their assistant managers. Assistant managers will be controlling their executives. Like this, a narrow span goes. So whatever you do, it is very highlightedly shown because there is a tight and close supervision. So it can be any errors or any good things, it can be identified very easily. Next one is the wider span of control. So wider span of control is something single managers oversees large number of subordinates. That means wider span of control is always a rise to a flat structure. A flat structure means it is very wide. That means one person is, for example, one manager, okay, CEO, then the manager. Under the manager, all the task, all the subordinates are working, and one person should be looking after all the people. So there won't be a close supervision because one person can't manage all the people's operations, right? So this is wider span of control and narrow span of control. In narrow span of control, you have to identify close supervision is there. In wider span of control, there is no close supervision. Next, a stakeholder perspective of HR management. A stakeholder perspective of HR management. So what is a HR policy? A policy is an impression by the top management of an organization of its values and beliefs concerning all the major functions of an organization. A policy states, okay, now here we are learning about the perspective of human resource management within an organization. A human resource policy, we are going to see how a human resource policy is going to be. So what is a policy? Expression by the top management of its values and beliefs concerning all the major functions of an organization. So policy is something, all the functions of the organization is coming up into a one particular document or one particular set of guidelines, and how this is working out. So a policy states how the organization intends to approach the achievement of its overall objectives. So policy states how you are going to achieve the overall objective. Therefore, HR policy is an expression by the top management from an organization of its values and beliefs concerning personal management functions of an organization. So here what they are saying is, now all the HR related aspects are coming from the policy of the organization. If the top management is setting up the policy relating to it only, your HR policies should be to relate to the organizational objectives in order to achieve your vision. HR policy, HR policy should compare a set of principles which will govern the relationship of an organization with its workforce, whatever the status of an individual member of it is. So HR policy should govern all the relationship within the employees. That means like all the employees should have a compromise set of principles. That means there should not be any mismatches or any conflicts. It should be general to everyone. So how a policy should be absolute, clear and unambiguous. The policy should be very clear and unambiguous. Unambiguous means it should not have any confusions, it should be crystal clear. be easily understood by all. Everyone should be understanding the policy. It should not be like a rocket science. It should be very simple to understand. Its effect on individual employees must be standardized. So individual employees have to standardize through the policies which is implemented by the organization. So if you are having a policy, there should be a effect other side. The individuality of an employee should be enhanced, right? Next, now we are talking about the HR strategy. So HR strategy means, so strategy is a statement of long-term objectives to be achieved. Its senior management team will set strategic objectives for all the functions of an organization. So strategy is something which is planned for a long term, and strategy is always done for the corporate. And for the corporate, if you are doing a strategy, all the functional departments as well have to perform their strategical planning. So HR department is also a one department. Now they are saying strategical planning is done by the top level of employees. For the corporate level, if you do it for the corporate level, even the divisional or functional level strategies also should be there. Here we are talking about the HR strategies. So HR strategies are therefore result of discussion and agreement between all senior managements of an organization, not just between the HR specialists. That means if you are coming up with human resource strategies, not only the top level of management and the HR management can come up with their policies. All the managers in every other departments and divisions should come to a conclusion of how this policy is going to be. After the set of discussion, only they are going to come up or come up with a HR strategy. So alone a HR manager can't come up with HR strategy. All their participation is very vital, and this is how a HR strategy is created. Next one is the operating plans. So operating plans is set out detailed statements relating to how the organization intends to actually achieve its strategic objective in practice. Such plans are much concerned with means. As with short term aims, they are intended to prompt the actions that are required for theory and intentions to be put actual in practice. So now first we saw how the strategical planning is done. Now HR management function is there, strategical planning is there. Now HR means what? In an organization, several departments, you get the human resource. Now whole set of human resource, how we are going to utilize this, that is the strategical planning of the human resource. Now if you take the strategical planning of human resource, why we are making the strategical planning for human resource? In order to achieve our objectives. Why are we achieving our objectives? In order to achieve the organizational vision and the mission. And very important is organizational vision should be understood, and they have to work according to it, and they have to achieve the vision. So vision is something strategically planned, and for a long run you have to work for it. So this operating plan is something, it is coming on a daily basis to achieve the resultant vision. Okay, so here what you do is, in the operating plans you plan short term goals in order to achieve your objective or your mission. If you are achieving your objective and mission only, you can reach your vision. So you have to have short term goals. So these short term goals will help in you to understand how an organization can plan its daily operations. So such plans are likely to relate to matters such as the following. So how the daily operations are there? Establishment of basic manpower human resource plan. Basically you have to identify within an organization several departments and several human resources are there, how you are going to use it, that you have to have a basic plan. Recruitment planning and remuneration, how you are going to recruit employees and how you are going to pay the remuneration. Training and development plans, so how you are going to train and develop the employees in each department. Management development programs, so development programs which you provide for employees. Health and safety arrangements, employee welfare, so how do you come up with health and safety welfare, and how health and safety measures is being undertaken within your organization in order to protect your employees. Negotiating arrangements with employee representatives. So how you are going to negotiate with the representative? Establishment of adequate grievances and disciplinary procedures. So to your employees, what are the grievances and the disciplinary procedures that you are going to provide? So this is basically about the HR planning and all the aspects which is covered within operation daily basis. It will come with a good productive output. So when there's a good productivity and a good output, so your objectives can be reached. After your objectives is be reached, you can reach your mission and also you can reach your vision at the given time period. So this is how an organizational structure will be supporting, and how this is how the HR management is supporting to build up the organizational growth. So next slide. I think this is all. So from today we will conclude the organizational behavior class. So I have covered up every part in organizational behavior. So your classes are finished from today onwards. So this is about the chapter 4. If you all have any doubts, you all can ask.
Yes, Miss.
Yeah.
I missed the first 5 minutes. Like, what was the organizational chart or something?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
as a summary, you can.
This is Umair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Umair, organizational chart is something. Now, if you are working in an organization, in order to identify the authorities and responsibilities of each employee, you come up with a diagrammatic format. So, levels of employees, that means top, middle, operational level, how the structure is, who are working in the top level, middle level, and operational level. It is in a diagrammatic format, so you could understand to whom we have to report and from where we are getting the rules and regulations, how the organizational structure is working. So this is basically a organizational chart in a diagrammatic format. If you take now for example, take Coca-Cola company, how a big multinational company it is. So can we come into a picturization of that particular company, who is the CEO, who is taking care of. Now we have diversify it, since it's a multinational company, it's all over the world, so it is very difficult to understand who is working and who is the CEO. So when you come with the organizational structure or organizational chart as a outline, you can understand how that operations are being undertaken. So this is why an organizational chart is there. Understood?
Yes, Miss.
Any doubts? Any other doubts?
So, this is our last class, Miss. No?
Yeah, this is the last class. You're happy about it?
No.
Huh?
Did you get any information about the assignment class question?
Yeah,
Hello.
I talked to them.
Hmm.
So they told they will check and let it know. So I'll pass the information to Nishantan sir. So he will be sending it to the group.
Okay, miss, thank you.
So anyway, the last question is not clear, right? It's not fulfilled, right? Anita,
I didn't
the
get
last question is not completed, right? You all can't understand
yeah,
what is the question,
yeah,
right?
miss. They are given semicolon, but they didn't give anything related to follow.
Right, okay. Today I'll talk to Nishantan and I'll, if anything, I'll let you all know, okay?
Okay, miss, thank you.
Okay, any other doubts?
No.
Okay, thank you very much for attending the classes on time and also attending it, like I think these people are attending it very